Hey, Schmidlifers. Welcome to the Midlife Schmidlife podcast. I am so glad that you are here. And today I am super excited to share with you a good friend of mine, Valerie Tookes. And Valerie is a health and wellness coach. You can find her over at Her Holistic Health. And we have a wonderful conversation about paying attention to where we are right now in our health and wellness journey and why it's important to really look at maybe some choices that we are making that might not be choices that serve us well in the future. Conversations with Valerie, it's just like being wrapped in a warm hug. And so that is one reason why I'm so excited to share her with you. But she has such a way about her, a calming presence, one that is not shaming. And when I was seeing in this time where we are right now, I'm recording this, and this is the second week in May and in 2020, and many states are still under shelter in place rules, and we are here during the global pandemic. And what I was seeing is, when we started this whole journey together, there were memes about gaining the quarantine 15 and, nonstop happy hours. And, while those are funny, I started to realize that they also were becoming a way in how we were showing up each day. And I was noticing it in myself, to be totally honest. I mean, let's get real. And Valerie is actually my personal health and wellness coach and has been helping me a lot by helping me make peace with the scale and my body exactly where I am at this point in my life. And I just wanted to bring her on to share her wisdom and have her conversation and her voice in this mix. I know that you are going to just love the conversation that we have. To share a little bit about Valerie, she has a master's degree in integrative health studies from the California Institute of Integral Studies. She is certified through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. She trained at the Interchange Counseling Institute. She is a lead coach with me at the Courageous Living Coach Certification Program, and she has hundreds of hours working one-on-one with clients, leading workshops and giving talks, writing, researching, and delving deeply into women's health, wellness, and empowerment topics. And she is such a joy to just be around and listen to. So before I just gush any more about Valerie, I just want to take you away to our conversation.
Hi, Valerie.
Hi, Liz.
Hi. I'm checking that we are in the Breaking the Good Girl rules. I told you I was going to stumble over my words today. I'm checking that we are streaming live, and it always takes Facebook a little bit of time to catch up and tell me that we are. Looks like we are.
Great.
Okay. Yes. Facebook a little bit of time. Now I need to turn that down. Stop. Yeah. Looks like we are. Except I can hear us, and I don't want to hear us. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Yay, we're live. Hello, Kristen says hello. Yay, hi, Kristen. Oh, goodness. Good morning. I am so excited today. I think I say that every time, but I'm really excited today because I get to share one of my most favorite people with people in my Facebook group and as well as podcast listeners. And I am here with my good friend Valerie Tookes, and I actually have goosebumps because I asked her, not sure if she would be willing to do this because this isn't really her normal thing. Not that it's my normal thing to go live on Facebook or anything, but I was just so excited that she said yes. So Valerie, before I go, I know who you are. Would you mind sharing who you are?
Sure. So I'm Valerie, and I'm a health and lifestyle coach.
I know
I'm
who you
coaching.
are. I know. I'm sorry. Tech is not
No worries.
my friend today. Go ahead.
No
I'm
worries.
sorry.
I've been a health and lifestyle coach for a little over 10 years, and the name of my business is Her Holistic Health. And what I do and what I love to do is to work with women or people who identify as female to help them to become friendly with the person that they see in the mirror. So the her of Her Holistic Health is that person that you see in the mirror. And my work was really born out of kind of growing up, not having that be a friendly relationship, and just saying lots of harsh things and sort of doing the diet roller coaster and kind of all the things that we as women can do to our bodies, and say about our bodies and think about our bodies. And then it just at some point I realized that I wanted to change that. And so set about my own personal journey with regards to that. And out of that came a real desire to help other women to make those same kind of shifts and changes for themselves.
Yeah. Thank you. And I apologize for the technology. I was trying to comment and welcome Kristen and it kept playing. So
Not a worry.
Yeah. But I love the work that you do. We have been working together. I have turned to you for help with my own health and wellness, and just trusting you and meeting with you when we do. It's just kind of this lovely reminder to, I don't know, just to accept the person that I see in the mirror. And so that's why, not only just so that I get to hang out with you extra this week, but that's why I wanted to have you here so that we could talk about our health and wellness during this time, which is kind of a crazy time. And what I love about the work, one of the things I love about the work that you do, Valerie, is I feel like the term, well, we're both coaches. And in fact, I guess I should explain that. You actually were, so how we know each other is Valerie is a lead coach for the Courageous Living Coach Certification, and she actually helped me become a coach. She was one of the trainers and the mentors, and I can't believe that was 5 years ago, Valerie.
Wow. Time just flies by.
I know, in a lot of ways. So it's funny because in a lot of ways it seems like it was just yesterday, but then now that I actually I get to work alongside you now, and and I get to be a lead trainer as well. So I feel like that we've gone through so much in that 5 years that in some ways it feels like, man, that was like a full 5 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we have the privilege of holding the training retreats once a year. So we get to hang out and have all that goodness once a year. And then last year we actually we got to be the trainees and went to another training retreat together. And that was just amazing and life-changing and all that good stuff.
All the things. Yeah.
All the things. Yeah.
Absolutely. It was good.
It was really good. I'm sad that it doesn't look like we're going to be able to do that this year. So, but one of the things that I feel like, so in coaching, like the term health coach could mean many things, right? I mean, there's health coaches that you can go to health coach and they will give you a diet and an exercise plan. Is that something that you do, or
Yeah,
is it bigger than that?
For me and the work that I do, I feel like it's bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have found over the years is if someone is looking for that very specific, like looking at your macronutrients and plotting out your calories for the day or the amount of exercise like that you're doing every day, I'm kind of not the coach for you. Because I can certainly do that with people and have had the history of doing that with people early in my figuring out what kind of coach that I am. And what I found was working with people, we would invariably come up against that moment where the person has the plan and they know what they quote unquote should be doing, but they're not doing it. And so we would start to look there and start to unpack there around, okay, what's keeping you from doing those things that you know are good for your health, that will improve your well-being? And we're all, whole people. And so it's kind of hard to keep coaching and health coaching kind of segregated just to looking at food and exercise. And then we start looking at somebody's whole life. And we start to notice patterns that might be happening in other places. And that for me is a much richer place to work because if we can figure out and unpack that why in terms of what's keeping somebody from having all of those things that they want in their lives, then everything else kind of gets easier because it all, in some ways, it feels like that's the key that unlocks the door. And I've had quite a few clients who came with like a specific, perhaps weight goal that they wanted to reach. And, we sort of started there and then we opened up their whole entire life. And by the time we were done working together, they were living in a different apartment or, they had a better relationship. And the weight thing was just kind of not important. So I often say that health and wellness is kind of the doorway in for people into looking at the rest of their lives.
Right. Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Relating that to my own life right now. Yeah. Yeah. So I want to point out the obvious as we are actually live on Facebook right now. This will be repurposed for the podcast, so you can't see this, but I want you to see Valerie's lovely background and then look at my background. So when we got online, I said, I'm going to try to clean this off. And then I realized I was going to have to just dump it all on the floor. So I was going to call it out. This is me cleaning out closets. And trying to figure out what to do with stuff. So I'm just looking at your serene, lovely background, and I feel like it's just such a representation of you and me. This is what it's like to be with Valerie. This is what it's sometimes like to be with me. So at least in this moment. So I just thought I'd call it out because that's where my eye goes right away. It's like that. So let's move on from this. The reason why I wanted to have you and just have this conversation, Valerie, was because something that I noticed was whenever this quarantine time started, there were a lot of jokes. There's still a lot of memes about, gaining the quarantine 15, about happy hours starting at 10 a.m. and just, and they were funny. I was laughing. I could understand. I know that I have hit the snacks a lot more lately than I would normally. I have had, and I'm just calling myself out, I've had one too many happy hours with my husband than I normally would want to have. And not that those things are bad. They're not bad. But I just started noticing how easily it's become, like what started off as funny, it's just, I don't know, kind of accepted as being like, well, this is what we do now. And now here we are in the beginning of May, and is this really what we want to do now? I think that that's the question I've been asking myself, and Um, so I just, wondered, like, what comes up for you when I say that, Valerie? Like,
Yeah. Well, the first thing that popped into my mind is like I feel like what we're all experiencing right now is why any of us kind of do the practices that we do or that we did before we got here. Like, and whether it was an exercise practice or whether it was meditation practice or whatever, like none of us could have predicted that 6 weeks later we would still be sheltering in place and not able to interact and not able to get out and do the things that we would have normally done. And so for me, like, actually, I totally agree with you that like the ways that people are coping right now, there is no judgment about that because we all are finding ourselves in this weird, awkward, crazy like time, and we don't know quite when it's going to end. And so I was listening to a podcast with Elizabeth Gilbert, and she talked about like any way that a person is going through the quarantine experience, to give them much love for how they're moving through it. And now, as you said, we're in May, and those memes aren't quite as funny because we don't know when this is going to end. And so what shifted for me and what I tend to try to think about most days is what kinds of habits do I want to have on the other side of this? Like all of my old habits got tossed out because I can't do those things in the same way anymore. I certainly had my period of, eating more than I probably would have, or not getting out and moving and exercising. And then it struck me that like now is a really good time to figure out what's really important to me in terms of my health and my wellness and my well-being and my connection to my friends. And so now the thing that I think about for myself and that I also am underscoring with the coaching clients that I'm working with right now is, where do you want to be on the other side of that? And now is a really good time, to the extent that you're able, to put into place some things so that when we do get on the other side of this, we have some perhaps new, even more sound, even more rooted and grounded habits that we can move forward with.
Yeah. Yeah, I think honestly, this was one of the reasons, I mean, just the underlying of what you just shared was one of the reasons why I wanted to start this series. I'm calling it Now More Than Ever, because I feel like, so before our conversation, Valerie, I've had a conversation about boundaries. I had a conversation about connection. Last week, I had a conversation about processing our emotions and using writing as a tool to do that. And I've got some things coming up about choosing joy, and just some conversations that I felt like all of these were happening before, right? Like maybe our coping mechanisms weren't, maybe possibly raising my hand, I was turning to food as a way of processing my emotions or comforting myself. But I feel like the time that we're in right now is just like shining this big spotlight on it. It's like, hello, it's like a big beacon of like, this was happening before, and now it's like magnified to a very large degree. And so I really love that thought of what is it that we want to take forward. We can use this opportunity now to think about, all right, what do we want to take forward with us to the other side?
Sure. And also there's that question about whether those coping strategies are really giving us what it is that we truly want. Absolutely. people turn to food, to alcohol for some level of comfort. But I often wonder that, like, if they gave themselves a pause and asked themselves, well, what is it that I truly want in this moment? I wonder if those go-tos would really be what
Mm.
fills the person up. Maybe they really are missing like physical contact and simply need a hug, and that's truly what they need, and they can't get that.
Mhm.
Or maybe they really want to be outside in the park, just like enjoying the sunshine, and they can't do that right now. I mean, I think that there's a lot in the idea of giving yourself a moment to ask the question of what is it that I truly want in this moment? And if it's possible to get any degree of what you truly want, why not give yourself the opportunity to move in that direction versus going to the standard go-tos that maybe for a few minutes, for a few bites, give you that comfort, but then at a certain point it becomes something else, and then other feelings come in. Maybe there's guilt about it or shame about it, and you're just kind of piling on all of these not so positive emotions. um, so why not give yourself that opportunity to take a breath, to take a pause, and see what it is that you truly want, and see if you can get some version of that for yourself.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I have another question, but I just noticed that Lynn made a comment. She says, I love that about who do you want to be on the other side of this? Grounded, more rooted habits sound good to me right now. Well, that's awesome, Lynn. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what came up for me when you were sharing that is, Valerie, is that actually takes a lot of self-awareness, right? Like, because I feel like maybe some of our automatic habits or living on autopilot have really kind of kicked in right now, right? It's just sort of like, oh, I'm going to go find the Cheez-Its, or I'm going to pour a glass of wine. I mean, I feel like that's just been our, maybe the autopilot of what we normally do, you know, has kicked in. And what would you say would be a good way to start cultivating that self-awareness? Do you have like some insights on that, or?
Well, what it makes me think about is you're 100% right about the autopilot, and those are kind of the go-tos. And right now, like, everything's kind of thrown out in some ways. Like the standard way of our being in the world is completely thrown out. And so with that sort of, what for me feels very jarring, kind of shaking up of the collective snow globe, and like things haven't settled yet,
Right.
because everything does feel all topsy-turvy, why not look for things that truly are going to nourish you, and truly are going to comfort you? And I certainly, as I said before, like, no judgment at all if the choice that someone makes is to reach for a cookie or some cake, or whatever might be in the house. My invitation is, before you say yes to having that thing, to give yourself just a little bit of a beat in there, to ask yourself the question of, what is it that I really want in this moment? And if it's having the Cheez-Its or the cookie, then absolutely have that and enjoy it and be joyful about it. And the minute that it feels like you're done with that, then putting it aside and letting it be done. But if in that moment, that second, that beat where you give yourself before you have that thing, there's something else, then try giving yourself that something else. The one thing that I have really come to believe and wholeheartedly trust is that our body is always speaking to us. And our body wants to be healthy. It wants to be sturdy, it wants to be grounded. And if given the opportunity, our bodies will choose the best thing for itself in that moment. And it's often our mind that sort of jumps over the body's talking to us because our minds think that we know what it is that our bodies want. And so I think my biggest sort of tip in this moment is to just give yourself that small little window to check in with your body and to ask what it is that your body wants.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's almost like it's the awareness piece and kind of slowing down.
Yeah.
Slowing down. Lynn just asked, is this about tuning into your intuition more? Do you feel like that's part of it?
That's a really good question. That's a really good question. I feel as though it's a little bit yes, a little bit no. Like I certainly have a deep belief in intuition and are listening to that little voice in that's in our being that's pointing us in one direction or the other direction. But in some ways, I feel like it's actually a little bit different. It is tuning into your body and letting your body speak in that moment, which feels a little bit different than that intuitive sense that we have. I certainly feel like they're connected, but it feels a little bit different in terms of what is this physical body that I have? What is it saying in that moment?
Yeah, yeah. And it might take some practice, right? Like it's not something that you're going to just pick up right away. It's not, it may very well that you're thinking, no, damn it, I want the Cheetos or, or whatever that is. There's nothing else here I want. And I feel like it just takes practice with everything. It's just tuning in and slowing down and being quiet, all those things.
Yeah.
And so I just realized too, what I didn't ask you, which I've been trying to do with all my guests, is how are you doing? Like, and part of the reason why I'm doing that and asking that is because I want to share like the wide range of emotions and how people are feeling and how people are coping. And you're in California and I'm in Texas, and states are handling things differently. So I'm just curious, like how you are doing and how you're holding up.
Today I am doing really pretty well. Like it's certainly been an emotional roller coaster. California, or at least where I live in Northern California in the Bay Area, it was kind of one of the first places to start the shelter in place back in mid-March, where it was mandatory to be sheltered in place. And the first couple of weeks were quite honestly really hard. I live on my own and I don't have a pet. And so I really felt that aloneness in the first couple of weeks. And that's when kind of my practices started kicking in, because I was kind of going into like a dark place that didn't feel very me. And so started turning toward the things that I know help me to feel better. And so one of the practices that I started then and that I continue today is like I am up and out of my house by somewhere between 6:15 in the morning, and I just walk. And I have like a Fitbit, and the goal is always to get in 10,000 steps. And at a certain point I decided, okay, I'm going to leave my house that early and I'm just going to walk wherever my feet take me for about 5,000 steps. And then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to go home. And it's become less about sort of the physical exercise movement, and it's totally a meditative, emotionally regulating activity for me. If there's a morning where I don't get that in, like my day is very different. And so I've realized that for my own mental well-being, I have to do that. And I do it in the morning because there's just less people out. And so it just feels easier to kind of navigate the world at 6:30 in the morning. But doing things like that have been really life-saving for me. I pulled out a bunch of art supplies and I have them on my table. And whether I use them or I don't use them every day, at least they're there to remind me that there's an alternative to turning on the TV. And sometimes I turn on the TV and watch some show as well. But I'm really just kind of taking it one day at a time and keeping in place the things that feel like they're really supportive and nourishing for me, and making choices with that level of awareness kind of moment by moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of crazy that we're so far into this. I mean, 6 weeks, right? Like, yeah. So I'm in Texas, and of course the situation is different. But because I had friends like you, where you were, and my oldest son was in Seattle, where the situation is very different than what we were. We've been sheltering in place that long too. So, and I want to share. So I've noticed my ups and downs of like kind of, like the high highs and the low lows have kind of stretched out a little bit. I feel they're more manageable, but I have to say, like last Friday, I just felt like crying all day, and it just was, I know it was a combination of a lot of things. It was my oldest son's birthday and just the reality of, the world and all that. But I do just like to talk about that because wherever we are, like today I'm feeling like full of joy and full of hope and full of, but I just feel like recognizing that wherever we are on this journey is okay. There's no rule book here.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're all making it up as we go through this together.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Grace. Grace House is here.
Hi, Grace.
She says, having tools on board we can use to help us move through whatever comes up is so important. Journaling is my go-to. And she says, P.S., hey, y'all. Hey, Grace.
Yay.
Yeah, journaling is a wonderful tool. Well, we talked about that. And my last conversation I had was about using writing as a tool to process emotions. And I know for you, Valerie, art can be that, or walking, or anything like that. So,
Yep. And also have a journaling practice as well. So.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you do. You guys are inspiring me. So one of these days, it'll be a practice for me too. So as we are kind of moving toward, closing out our conversation, I just wondered if you've offered some tips to maybe kind of take a pause and a beat to ask, really tune in to how we are feeling and if the choice we're getting ready to make is a good choice. I'm thinking of someone who maybe this is all brand new to them and they're really realizing like that they've just had this, this is like not getting back on track, but more of a, like, I really want this to be a time of opportunity for me. Do you have any pointers for that woman and what some small steps she can do to get started?
I think that a beautiful place to start is with this idea of who do I want to be on the other side of this? And what just popped into my mind is like having a Post-it that had, written on it, I want to be a person who, and then whatever ends that sentence for that person. And then putting that Post-it somewhere where they will see it on a daily basis. So for me, like my word for this year is rise. 2019 was a challenging year for me, and this year I wanted to very purposefully do things and make choices that help me to feel like I'm rising and becoming this new version of myself. And so I have a Post-it in my kitchen that I see most days that just reminds me of that. And then I make choices when I remind myself of who it is that I want to be. So maybe for that person who all of this is brand new, to give yourself a minute to just think about and dream about, like, where is it that you'd like to go? Like maybe it's, I want to be a person who's healthier, or I want to be a person who's really connected with my friends on the other side of this, or I want to be a person who has a killer bread recipe on the other side of this. Like whatever that is for them, to write it down and then to put it somewhere as a reminder and as in some ways like a North Star to kind of make choices and guide themselves in that direction. And that feels like at least you're pointed in the right direction. And then if you need help or tools or suggestions along the way, I know that like I'm out there, there are lots of people who are out there that are wanting to support other people through this. And so to reach out, and whether it's reaching out to you, Liz, as an amazing coach, or to other people that you might see online who are coaches, to me as a coach, and see if you can get some support to get you moving in that direction.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to point out something very interesting that stuck out to me. So, and then we'll end our conversation. But you are okay if we have a killer bread recipe. You are okay if we have the Cheez-Its or the cocktail. And I feel like that's important to point out, because I feel like we've attached so much good and bad to our choices. And so I recognize that. I was like, she says that we can have a killer bread recipe.
Yes, absolutely. I am nothing but in awe of people who can bake amazing bread. So yeah. And also too, I find that like the minute you put something on the I can't have it list, then that's the only thing you want to have. And you, as far as you want to move in that healthy direction, there's going to be a boomerang effect where you just ping right back to that thing or all of those things that were on your no list. So, eating things in moderation when your body truly wants them, and really enjoying that experience for that experience that it is, it's part of the joy of life. And, we're definitely right now, all the joy that we can experience feels important. So,
Yeah. Valerie, thank you so much. Where can people go to find you?
Sure. Well, I have a website that can be found at herholistichealth.com, and I certainly work with individual clients. And if you happen to be in California, I also do coaching through a naturopathic clinic in Berkeley called the Women's Vitality Center. And so we're doing lots of great, wonderful, supportive things for women's health and wellness there as well. So you can find me either place.
Awesome. I will share those links in the show notes on the podcast, and also when this video goes live in the Facebook group, I'll have those links there. And I hope that people just like reach out and get to have more Valerie in their life, because it's definitely a great thing to have. So, Valerie, thank you so much for saying yes for how to have this conversation with me. And
thank you so much for asking. This has been wonderful, and it's such a great and important question that you're asking. And I love that you're talking to people in all different areas of life, because we need the support. So thank you, Liz.
Yes. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your day. And Valerie, thank you so much. And we'll talk later. I'm sure we'll talk later this week. So thank you.
All right. Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Thanks for joining Liz for the Midlife Schmidlife podcast. Remember, some days are never on your calendar until you put them there. Until next time.